Hey everyone, I'm Candie Bolton. I paint vinyl toys, and today I'm going to teach you how to do it too. First of all, safety gear. You'll need a respirator and goggles, and I always wear those even if I'm working in a well-ventilated area, and you can tell that the respirator is well used because it's falling apart. But you'll also need a lot of gloves, and I think they have to be this specific type of gloves. I'm not positive on that, but they definitely work out well, so look for nitrile exam gloves and get a lot of them. The other most important thing, lacquer thinner. You can get from any hardware store. You'll want the big jug. I go through a lot of it. And you will use this to clean out your airbrush in between colors, and also when you're done using it, you'll use it to clean the whole thing out. Vinyl thinner, it's a little harder to find. You can buy it online, and I use this to thin my V color. And here are some of my paints. You will use a lot of these little cups. They have to be a specific type of plastic so that the harsh chemicals and thinners do not eat through the plastic. So you use this for mixing paints if you're trying to make your own colors, and also to get ratios right for mixing like thinners with the paint. So here is Monster Color, and as you can tell from my collection, I use a lot of it. This isn't even all of it. This happened in like 2 years. It's crazy. I have a little bit of V color. I have more on the way. I need a lot more V color because I really like it. Monster Color though is airbrush ready. So you can just put that right into your airbrush and spray it. It's awesome. They have a huge selection. Their prices are okay. If you're looking to just start out airbrushing, it's nice to use Monster Color because you don't have to mix it with anything. V Color, on the other hand, it is not airbrush ready. So if I opened it right now and showed you the paint, it's super thick and you cannot spray that. First, what you have to do is you buy a glass bottle like this. I like the kind with the dropper on top. It just makes things a little cleaner and neater. And I need that because I'm super messy. You can get one without the dropper if you want. I think it's cheaper that way. So you get a glass bottle and you open this guy up. You pour the whole bottle into here and you get as much as you can out of it. And then you take this bottle again and you pour vinyl thinner, fill up the whole jar with vinyl thinner, and then you close the lid and you shake it up really good, and then you pour it back into here. And so that way you have a 1:1 ratio of vinyl thinner and V color. But I've discovered that sometimes that's not the perfect ratio. That's a good starting point, but you'll find out that if you put it in your airbrush, sometimes you'll get what is called spider webbing, and like straight up looks like spider webs. It's hilarious, but it can ruin your paint job. So if you start to see things that look like spider webs, like legit spider webs, then your paint is too thick. You need more vinyl thinner in it. So you can just keep adding a little bit more vinyl thinner each time until you stop getting those spider webs. Sometimes you'll get it right away. I mean, I'm still learning this, so maybe I'll figure it out eventually and get that perfect ratio. And this one here, Gaia paint, I think it is. I do the same thing. I do the 1:1 ratio. So you take all the paint in here, you pour it into a glass bottle, and then you fill this bottle up with lacquer thinner. Use lacquer thinner with the Gaia paint. And then you pour it into the bottle, you shake it up, then you pour it back into your glass bottle with the dropper, and then you should have some airbrush ready paint. Just like with the V color though, you might have to test it out first and make sure you don't get spider webs. If you get spider webs, you'll need to add more lacquer thinner with the Gaia paint. V color uses vinyl thinner. You'll need rags. You'll need a lot of rags. Just get some shop towels and stuff. This here is called a cleaning station. I use the Iwata cleaning station, and and that use that when you're cleaning your airbrush, just like how it sounds. So if, for example, you have some paint in your airbrush and you're done with that color and you need to switch to a different color, then you will pour lacquer thinner into the airbrush cup, and then you'll stick the airbrush in here and expel the rest of the paint and all the lacquer thinner. Because all that stuff is like really gross and you have to spray it somewhere. So you can at least contain it within this thing, and then this screws off and you can dump this out once it's full of all that gross, dirty lacquer thinner. So this is actually my first compressor, and when you're airbrushing, you need, first of all, 3 things. You need the compressor, the airbrush, and you also need the hose. And then you can start airbrushing, I mean, as long as you have paint and stuff. This is a master airbrush. I bought it as a kit, and it's okay. It does the job. It lasted me for about a year, and over the summer it would heat up so much that it was really struggling, and I think eventually it just died. And I'm sure you can tell just from looking at it. It has seen better days, but this thing, when it gets hot, you will see a lot of water vapor in here, and eventually it will spray out of your brush. It can fuck up your whole paint job. So when you have the money for it, or you decide that this is something like you seriously want to get into, then I definitely recommend getting a better compressor. But for a starter compressor, it's not so bad. So here's my Oh My Yokai Gotcha set that just came out from Toy Art Gallery. These are all my designs, and here's the painted version, the first painted set I've ever done of them. So I'm about to clear coat them. I airbrushed these guys with Monster Color, and I first started with silver. They were red vinyl to begin with, but see the shiny areas? Those were silver, and then I sprayed over a clear color, which is like my staple technique. Silver and clear colors on top of it. I do that on almost every toy that I paint. And then I hand painted the details with gouache. I use gouache with everything as well. You don't have to use gouache. You can use acrylics. You can even use Monster Color and V Color to hand paint those details, and most people prefer to use that. So with like Monster Color, this is color change, so you would not hand brush anything with that, but like black. So Monster Color black, but you'd pour a little bit in here, and then you'd let sit for maybe a couple hours, and because it has thinner in the paint, you let that thinner evaporate, and then it's thicker, and then you can hand paint it onto a toy. I think it's the same story with the V Color and Gaia paint, but I haven't tried that yet. My spray booth is super messy. At least there's a clean air filter in it, but can you tell what my favorite color is? And here's my super awesome compressor. I forgot what it's called. Like Pro something. Anyways, it was the best one I could get, and it is amazing. Not only it has two spots for airbrushes, so I could have dual airbrushes going on right now. I could have Charlotte here at my house airbrushing with me right now, but she's in Japan. Here's my airbrush, and it's the best airbrush ever. It's Iwata Eclipse. Maybe we can focus, maybe not. And oh, let me show you. So I've gone through a lot of airbrushes. This one is by far my favorite one. It's lasted me maybe like a year now, which is not the case with my other airbrushes. Here's my airbrush graveyard. Sometimes you'll have an airbrush that will just stop working, and you'll clean and clean and clean it, and you'll take it all apart, even replace some of the parts with new ones, and it still just won't work. But don't throw it away. If it's an Iwata, you can send it back to them and they will fix it for you. I've never done that though, because usually when they break, I have like this super close deadline coming up, so I can't even wait to ship it off to them and get it back. I just have to buy a new one because I need one right now. So I get all these spare parts and stuff. But still, even if it's completely broken and torn apart, keep it, because you might be able to use the parts on another working airbrush. And I've gone through all the different types. I've used Iwata Neo. This is the box for it. Iwata Neo is a really good starter brush. And like I said, if you buy that master airbrush kit, it comes with an airbrush, so that one's fine for a starter. If you want something a little nicer than that, then go with Iwata Neo. I like Iwata the most because you can get really good precision. I've tried using Badger. It's a really good quality airbrush, but it's just like too powerful. All this paint sprays out at once, and you can't do precision airbrushing with it. Alright. Back to my airbrush. The more that you pull back, the bigger the spray will be, and you'll just have to get used to it. It's one of those things where like you need to try it for yourself to figure it out. I have the end cap taken off of this because you don't really need it. It's easier access to this part that you'll be unscrewing to clean your airbrush very often. I had a lot of problems when I first started airbrushing. You will end up unscrewing the whole thing, taking it completely apart, and then realizing that you don't know how to put it back together. But don't worry, because you'll figure it out. It's not broken, you just need to put it back together. You can find tutorials online explaining how to put them back together and where all the stuff goes. It's kind of a pain, but you'll learn the ins and outs of it if you use one enough. Also keep in mind that there are different little fittings on the hoses, so you have to make sure you get the right hose for the brand of airbrush that you buy. This is all just like general knowledge stuff to get you started painting little guys like these. I'm going to clear coat these guys right now because I need to really badly, and then I'll show you the results.
I've used Monster Color change. You don't have to use so much, but I always make sure to saturate it pretty well because I like those sparkles, but color change is expensive, so you don't want to use too much sometimes. You let them sit for at least a day before you do anything with them. You have to let the clear coat cure. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching.